Hello and welcome. Thank you for popping into my channel. If you are new here, please like and subscribe for me. If you find this content helpful, smash that notification bell so that you don't miss out on the next video. Comment below with anything that you need help with or topics you'd like me to cover, and check out my website, now that I've fixed it, at consultingninja.tech. With that out of the way, let's get right to it. My website was targeted. Somebody took my API key and used it for nefarious purposes. I do have a website if you're not aware of that. I do mention it briefly at the beginning of my videos. This is what it looks like. Arrive at a home page, just has my latest videos. There's an about section that talks about why I made the website. There's a resources section that has all kinds of free resources that you can narrow down by category. There's a lot of really helpful stuff here. If you've not seen that before, check that out. There's a library section that has all of my older videos, and then just a contact page where you can contact me directly. So I was updating some styles on this, and I came to check out what it looked like in the live version, and none of my videos were loading. I couldn't figure out why for a split second. I thought to myself, well, that's really weird. This is just, I sat there for about 30 seconds and it just was not loading. So I looked in the network tab inside of inspect, and it said 403, which is the server response for forbidden. I thought, well, that's odd. Why would I not be authorized? I was using the YouTube Data API v3 to pull that information every time a user would click on either the home page or arrive at the home page or move to library. It was just a simple fetch request to that API to pull those videos from my YouTube channel. Now, I did anticipate that some knucklehead would be a Wile E. Coyote. I'm using a free static site hosting service from GitHub Pages. That means that I don't have access to a backend. If you know of how to set up a free backend for a GitHub Pages site, then by all means comment below and let me know. But I'm not aware of any way to make that happen since it's just for static pages. So that being the case, there's no way to set up a Node.js backend and call the API from there. So since I was doing it in the client, you guessed it, yes, that exposes your API key. And I was aware of that when I set it up. So prior to launching the website, I did come into the console.cloud at Google, and I restricted the API key so that all you could do with it are two things. You can list the information from my channel, and you can search my videos. And I thought to myself, that should be enough. That's all I should need for this. As long as it's restricted that way, then I shouldn't have any problems. What I didn't think about, what I did not take into the calculation, was that someone could just take my key and repeatedly call the API with it and use up my quota. And then once your quota is hit, you then are blocked. You've hit your quota. Google and YouTube, the API is like, hey, you've already used this as much as you can use it, so go away. If you look here, this is my quota. You can see the typical usage here. You know, I was sitting at somewhere around like barely 20% of what was available, and then all of a sudden this day I just maxed out. And then slightly into the next day, trying to do the same thing until I shut it off and reworked it. So always be mindful. Try to think of every possible way that someone could target your website or target your application. It's hard to come up with every possible scenario. In this situation, you know, like I said, I at least knew that someone was going to take the key. I just didn't think that what they did with it would be harmful in any way. I did not realize that someone would just do it like that. So they used up all of my quota, and then for a full day, if you went to my website, no videos would show up on the home page or the library page. So if you went to my website during that period, that is what was happening. Once I realized what was going on, I obviously had to fix it. So I had to spend some time thinking of a solution. And what I came up with was this. First of all, as I should have done to start with, I restricted the API key in YouTube Data API v3 so that it only works from a specific IP address, my IP address. That way, anyone trying to use it from anywhere else would just get unauthorized. They would not be able to use it. So I made that restriction. Obviously, I probably should have done that to begin with. I just never thought that someone would just burn up all of my usage. So it's now restricted to just one IP address, so that's great. And then I also, as a secondary precaution, I rewrote my website so that rather than pulling live information, it's pulling from some JSON files directly. And then I wrote a separate Node.js application that pings this API, gets the information, packages it up as a JSON object, and then uploads it via simple git to my GitHub repository for me automatically. That way, even if the API key is broken, lost, stolen, or Google were to crash altogether, my website would still be available for people to use. I thought that would be the best case scenario. Looking at the different options, I feel like that's probably the best. I'm not really wanting to set up a home server yet for hosting my own website. This is free. It's just a static site from GitHub Pages. If you're not familiar with how to set up a GitHub Pages website, I'll do a video on that in the near future. That's pretty cool stuff. You also can use the GitHub Pages service to host an API, so that's pretty cool. And then if you're interested in the application that I wrote that pulls all that information, packages it up, and commits it for me via this simple Git package, and then I can certainly show you guys how to do that as well. I just wanted to touch base with you guys, put this out there, let you guys know what happened to my website if you went there, remind you to always be thinking of every possible scenario. I know it's difficult. Let me also thank whoever did that, because now my website is actually much better for having gone through this. I will be much less likely to suffer any outages, and my API is much more secure since I decided to restrict it solely to a single IP address that key can be used with. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. I hope that you guys have found this video helpful. If you did, please give me a like and thumbs up. I certainly appreciate all of the support so far. It means a lot to me. Thank you, and as always, have a great day.